Recording has started.
Good evening, friends. Welcome to the second day of the Executive Development Program, which is fourth in the series. And today we have with us C. Amit Arora ji, the most familiar face in our programs, a pleasing personality and an anchor. And he doesn't need much introduction, but still it's my
So, hello, can you hear my voice? So, good evening to everyone tuned to this session. Let me tell you that both Ranganathanji and I are based in New Delhi, and for last almost an hour, we are witnessing in the capital heavy storms, very heavy winds, and I am here in the western part of Delhi, so it has already started raining. But Ranganathanji, who's actually working from the ICAI headquarters at the ITO New Delhi, it's very heavy winds, it's still not raining, so that's why probably there are some connection issues. But thank you very much for your introduction. And let me just start so that we can save time. And the moment Ranganathanji is back, we will also hear his voice. So good evening, everyone. And hello to you wherever you are across the globe, across different time zones. My name is Amit Arora. And today my topic is how media is a very emerging sector for chartered accountants. So I take great pride in being a news anchor. I work for the public service broadcaster for Doordarshan All India Radio for over 2 decades now. And I'll be more than happy to share my experience of the opportunities that exist in the media world. So if you see this picture, over the course of last 1 year, the significant coverage that we have done as a public service broadcaster has been on awareness on COVID-19. So you see me seated on one side, and I have one guest in the studio who's the chairman critical care with a private hospital based out of Gurgaon. And you see in far right on television, you can see some more guests. So that's the best part of technology. We usually have one guest in the studio, and then through technology, we have a panel of guests who join, whether it's doctors, epidemiologists, researchers, scientists, representatives of the Health Ministry, and other important ministries of both central and state government. To see how social distancing is maintained in the studios, I'm also wearing double mask. We're very limited people. The point I'm trying to tell you is that we have seen one big change during COVID, and perhaps that will continue post-COVID, where in such live sessions, we open the phone line, people call, and through other social media platforms also, they ask us real-time live questions. And they ask so many questions. I have taken this vaccine. What gap should I keep before I take the second dose? Should I take one vaccine? How many doses? If I have comorbidity, can I take a vaccine? So many questions. Why? Because there is a demand for more and more knowledge. Because people have realized that public health is very important, their own health is very important, and they would like to equip themselves with basic minimum knowledge that each household needs to have. Same is what I feel is going to happen with finance. More and more people are embracing entrepreneurship, and therefore there will be increased demand to understand business solutions. So welcome to the session. There are 3 learning objectives. One is that increasing demand of credible information related to wealth creation. That's the demand side. The second aspect we'll discuss today is that we've got different media platforms. So how can we best leverage technology? And third, of course, some real life stories. So it'll be a joyful interactive session for 60 minutes. I'll request you to participate, ask me as many questions or thoughts that come to your mind. I'll also be asking you a few questions, so feel free to express your thoughts. You can tag me at my Twitter ID at @AmIGood, or you can also write your question in the chat box. And make sure that you're joyful. So smile, please, because I firmly believe that if it's not joyful, it's not learning. Now let's come to the first of those 3 learning objectives, which is that there is an increased demand for wealth creation. I think more and more people, certainly here in India, are realizing that skills is the global currency. So gone are those days when you will just pursue a certain course, or even if you don't pursue a course, you happen to know someone, you will get to a job, and then you can spend 40 years in that job without really exploring your inner talent. People are not going to waste their life. I think more and more consciousness is coming. They're not going to do a certain thing just because that is considered as a norm. Now is an era of disruption, innovation. So people are very keen to invest in their skills. Now, once that happens, they also need to understand finances. So what is budgeting? What is savings? How do they invest? How do they grow? And in this entire wealth creation cycle, one person who can really navigate them is a chartered accountant. So you see this person, this is a CA who can help them navigate, right? Can actually be a co-pilot. So congratulations to all the young chartered accountants tuned to the program today, and welcome to the profession. It's a great privilege to be a member of the ICAI. It's been 20 years that I qualified as a CA, and our institute has just evolved over all these years. And look at this 4th batch of the Executive Development Program. Let me express gratitude to the ICAI leadership, and also the chairman and the vice chairman of the committee for having organized this particular series, which I'm sure is going to benefit a lot of people. And certainly in COVID, we can always be at home, follow the protocol, and learn a lot. Now, in terms of the COVID impact, you are going to agree that clearly there have been job losses. There are a lot of people who have lost their jobs. Then the other trend we have seen is reverse migration. So earlier, people used to come from smaller districts to, say, metropolitan cities for greener pastures, right? But we saw in the first wave of COVID pandemic that how people did migrate back to their villages. While that might have been a forced decision, they are now not necessarily wanting to come back and explore the idea of how they can really do something in their own village. And technology here has been an enabler. More and more, there is a shift, a paradigm shift, that rather than being a job seeker, how about if I become a job creator? Now, once that shift fructifies, you will have increased knowledge of understanding finances. And when I say finances, it means personal, business. And that is where role of chartered accountants becomes very important, because you are at the pinnacle of being a complete business solution provider. So somebody wants to start a business, it's very essential that they have stable personal finances too. So that is from where we'll start. You've got 130 crore people, right? So imagine personal finance means looking at every household, every individual. There's so much of work where how can we simplify all the issues related to personal finance and help them understand how they can go about it. So whether it's personal finance, business, corporate finance, public finance, very essential. With digital economy, governments of the day have to be transparent. So whether it is central government, whether it's the state government, whether it's the Gram Panchayat, more and more you'll find that there will be more and more accountability for every penny in public finance. After all, it's taxpayers' money. And trade finance, that is also one of the specialist domain. But notwithstanding which prefix you put, one of the common denominators is fintech, digital finance, because technology is an enabler in all of these. Now, since we are all in the midst of digital economy, and you hear this word jam, so we have the power of billion cubes. We have more than 1 billion people now in India that have Aadhaar. So you now know to whom you can send the money or any benefit that you want to transfer. The direct benefit transfer scheme of the government is a big hit. Other countries have really asked how we're doing it. So that is really good. Then the other big thing is the Jan Dhan Yojana, where you would have seen that over the last few years, more than 40 crore people have had access to bank account. Now that they have a bank account, they have access to more and more participation in the growth of the economy of the nation. And M, game changer, is the mobile. No longer it's just a telephone that Graham Bell had invented years back, right? So mobile today is more powerful than the first satellite that we had in the 70s, Aryabhatta, right? Very powerful. And more people have access to mobile, they have Aadhaar and they've got bank account. And that is why, digital economy is possible. So if I were to ask you what are the benefits of having a bank account, you all will agree that it provides security, provides you interest. People can have access to credit. It leaves audit trail. And then, of course, got a third-party statement so you can reconcile for the accuracy of data. Now, this particular message may be small, but where the role of chartered accountant comes is that how they can, one, understand themselves because they are technically very competent to understand all the aspects related to the business. And two, how they can use media to amplify such messages over and over again. So if in the health program, notwithstanding that we are doing hours in our program every day on say Doordarshan, still we have callers calling, still they have anxieties, still they have questions to the doctor. Can I take the steroid? Can I take the steroid with prescription? What will happen if I take more? Can I wean them off? All of these things. What if I have to book my vaccination slot? How do I do that? How do I access COVID portal? There's so much they have questions. Similarly, say for example, today sovereign gold bonds are going to close, right? They started 4 days back. This is the last day. Usually a tranche is opened by the RBI for 5 days. Somebody wants to buy sovereign gold bonds. They'll have so many questions. Then can we access any media platform? And we have a person who's technically competent to answer, chartered accountant. But then the question is, how do they also answer? How do they respond? Because in media, time will always be a factor. And second, you also have to simplify it because we are reaching out to the masses. So when the doctor or an epidemiologist tries to explain the intricacies of COVID-19 to general public, they have to be mindful. How do they explain without setting any panic, but helping them understand so that they can only create calm and with more precise information, together we can fight the pandemic. Same, how we can bring in financial literacy. So let me ask you, if you have to tell the masses what are the benefits of having a DMAT account, what will you say? I'll give you 30 seconds to respond. What are the benefits of having a DMAT account? And I'll request Ranganathanji, if you're back, do share any responses as they come.
Yeah, as soon as any response comes, I'll just read it out. It just take 30 seconds to 1 minute for the response to appear on the screen.
So meanwhile, has it started raining at ITO?
Yeah, it was raining very heavily, and then my signal also was very weak for some time. But now the rain has subsided, but it has got very dark here in Delhi, in the ITO region.
So I took the liberty of starting, sir.
Yeah. In fact, I don't know whether my introduction went through properly. I really do not know.
But I could hear the
signal was weak.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we are yet to receive responses, friends.
Okay. So
It
This
was
is
about
very
DMAT
important.
account. Somebody wants to open a DMAT account. What is the reason you will give him as to why it should be opened? That's the question.
Yes. So here the catch
Yeah.
is that
Yes,
yes,
sir. I started receiving the responses. May I read it out, please?
yes, sir, please.
Yeah, Mr. Srinivas says credit rating may be increased. Dushmanta says invest in market. Bhaskar says easy access to securities market. Tony says for building portfolio inculcates a habit of investing in people.
Okay, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. So we can always write all of these responses one by one, just like I wrote for the bank account. So it does facilitate trade of securities, and I totally agree of the other points that we have to inculcate the habit of investing, and maybe that's why we need a DMAT account. The point I'm trying to draw across is that while many of us may have a DMAT account, that's one part of the story. But if you have to tell the masses why should they have one, then we should also know how to do a storytelling, how to give an example, because usually they'll have an apprehension, right? Say, for example, if I have to buy sovereign gold bonds today, do I need to open a DMAT account? Can I buy through banking channels without having a DMAT? Tomorrow, if I do buy through banking channels without having a DMAT, and if I want to convert it into DMAT, can I do so? The question is that all of these questions will come. All of these questions will come. So when you have the power of the media, we also need to ensure that we have the adequate competency of handling all these questions. Today, when I do the health program, trust me, sometimes I'm in awe of the doctors and the scientists and the researchers and the epidemiologists, because when we open the phone lines live on Doordarshan, trust me, people call so much and they have so many innovative questions that it requires patience to answer sometimes the same thing over and over again. And for some questions, maybe there's no answer and you have to really buy time. Like, for example, if somebody asks the doctor that I have taken my 2 doses of Covaxin, will I be required a booster later in the year? Well, you do not know, because unless we have data, we won't be able to communicate that with full surety. So the point is that that the first point of the 3 that we're discussing today, there is an increased demand. The masses want to ask you a lot of things, and we are in the midst of digital economy. But look at this slide. While a lot of digital transactions are happening and there is an increased demand of knowing more and more, one of the other reasons we have to really come to media and explain is that what if there is a fake news doing the round? Now see this ad. Ranganathan ji, you must have also seen this. This is they say that send the WhatsApp messages to 20 of your friends and you'll win this beautiful fancy bag. And trust me, some of the most intellectual people will also fall for it, for the fancy bags, only to realize that it is completely fake. It's a fake story.
Yes. These kinds of things do come.
Yes.
In many
Similarly, even when we generate OTP for doing any digital transaction through banks never ask for OTP. OTPs are always secret. Yet, we're a nation of over 1.3 billion. We have a long way to ensure financial literacy happens, and people are told in simple terms over and over again, just like we ask them, please take vaccine, make sure social distancing happen, please wear mask. We've been saying it a number of times. Yet you find many people who may not necessarily wear the mask properly. But then the idea is that we have to again go back. There is no other way. Till the time we are able to successfully break the chain of the virus, we have to follow what is known as the COVID protocol. So COVID appropriate behavior is being stressed over and over again by the stakeholders. Similarly, drawing a parallel, I am saying next 5 to 10 years, I foresee that India will see a paradigm shift in financial literacy. Now that in 75 years of independence, we're almost about 85 to 90% literacy. The literacy rate is about 85 to 90% in India. Next decade will be about financial literacy, and it will not take 70 years like it took for literacy. Trust me, we will be moving very fast for financial literacy, maybe in 5 to 7 years. But if that were to happen, chartered accountants have to embrace media and come and counter fake news and ensure that they put their point in a very simple manner. And that's why this picture is one of my favorites, where it says that not only you have to really wear mask for protection from COVID. You have to have a mask on the ear as well, so that you can protect yourself from negative messages and fake news. So that's the first part of the story. Let's now come to the second part. That okay, you have chartered accountants, technically competent, and there is a huge demand for information. So chartered accountants will ensure that the correct information passes to meet that demand. Second point is that if today one chartered accountant addresses only 1, 2, 5, 15 clients, then it won't happen. The financial literacy won't happen. How do you address the masses? You address the masses by taking the media, because media is very powerful. And media can help you in mass communication, in reaching out faster, in a more impactful manner. So when we talk about media, let's discuss different avenues of media. Well, the biggest, of course, in India is film, and we all love watching films and cricket in India. So let me ask you this question. Can you name any film where the lead played the role of a chartered accountant? Any film, any Hindi film or any other film that you saw where the protagonist was a chartered accountant? I give you 30 seconds to respond.
I remember two of those movies. Can I answer?
Yes, please, Mr. Ranganathan.
But then in both the movies, the lead role was not by a chartered accountant.
Okay.
No, there is a very famous movie, Ek Duje Ke Liye.
Yeah.
There, if you remember now, this Kamal Hassan is sent out for 1 year to stay away from his girlfriend, and he goes to Hyderabad to work with a chartered accountant firm. And that CA was a very funny character and always joking about things.
Okay.
You are taking it very lightly. That was one CA character.
Very
Then
nice.
there was movie Rajinikanth,
Okay.
where they don't show a chartered accountant,
Yeah.
but the hero there always tells us there is a CA who is competing with me for promotion, and I am competing with him. And at the end, he also takes the name Ranganathan. By the way, my name is also Ranganathan. He says, "देखो मेहनत तो मैं करता हूँ मगर ये promotion Ranganathan ले जाएगा." He used to say that in the entire movie. And at the end of the movie, he says, "वो रह गया, मुझे मिल गया."
Very nice. Very nice.
It was great fun, to that movie.
Absolutely. I think both
But
these
I really
movies.
do not remember where a lead role is played by a CA. I don't really remember.
Well, both these movies were super hit at the box office. Ek Duje Ke Liye, starring Kamal Hassan and Rati Agnihotri. And I hope that you're not suggesting that somebody goes to learn from a CA only by being away from the friend. And
I got some
Rajinikanth-
responses from our friends. Jayesh says, "Ready, Salman Khan's movie."
Yeah, Paresh Rawal played a chartered accountant in Reddy.
Oh, I see. Okay. Then Aziz Sheikh says there is a movie by the name Photograph. Well, I do not know.
Yes, Ranganathanji, Photograph is a film where the lead heroine, Saima Malhotra, was a chartered accountant. The heroine of the
Oh,
film.
really? Okay. I really do not know. And Hasmukh talks about Himesh Reshamia. I don't know. Himesh Reshamia is a music composer. I don't know what he means. And Srinivas says Guru, Abhishek Bachchan's movie Guru.
Yeah.
And,
So while
but
Guru,
He was a
Abhishek
stockbroker, I believe.
yes.
And I don't know. Salim Ahmed has written, "Please join me." I don't understand this. Is it the name of a movie? I don't know.
Maybe he may be
Okay.
directing one.
Yeah, Tikaram says The Accountant.
Yes.
Okay, maybe there is a movie by the name The Accountant. I do not know.
There's a film, very, very popular film, Accountant.
Oh, really? Okay. I stand corrected. Prashant says Players.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. Players. I think Abhishek Bachchan was there in the movie, and lead was the chartered accountant.
Okay.
So, Ranganathanji, see how, while you mentioned about a movie in the 70s, Rajnikanda, and then one of the biggest love story of the 80s, Ek Duje Ke Liye, mentioning chartered accountant. So, not that the films were not mentioning, but over the last few years, you have the protagonists playing chartered accountant. That shows that CAs and media have arrived. Because if your lead role is being played by a chartered accountant, as Saima Malhotra plays in the film Photograph, it means that our profession now is coming in the lead, and people find merit in having the lead as a CA, right? Somebody mentioned Guru. I think Tikaram mentioned Guru. While Abhishek, who plays the protagonist there, is not a CA, yet that film talks about wealth creation. And here is one dialogue that the character of Abhishek Bachchan says in the film, that buy a share in the company and become a owner of the business. So one share, of course, is the smallest unit of the company. The idea I'm trying to tell you is that as more and more people will exercise their right to become a wealth creator, they will need a navigator, a co-pilot in a chartered accountant. And chartered accountant is a complete business solution provider. But in the 70 years of our existence so far, the 300,000 CA elite club that we have done more one-on-one. But this is the time now where after COVID, digital economy is going to see a paradigm shift, that we take to our popular media and help masses become aware on finance, businesses, and wealth creation. Some of the other examples I like to give. Last year, the biggest series on the OTT platform was Scam 1992. And you'll be happy to note that as part of the team that the director Hansal Mehta had, he also had a chartered accountant. Because there was so much of glossary related to stock markets and finances. So you need to have chartered accountants help make that kind of film. So whether it's a film, whether it's an OTT series, if more and more focuses is coming on finance and business, you will find chartered accountants also coming there. And this dialogue, Risk Hai To Ishq Hai, became very popular. I also feel this young generation has increased risk-taking capability than their predecessors. So if you want more returns, you need to have more risk-taking ability, which this generation has. Look at this year's IPL. One of the sponsors was Upstocks. Never happened before, right? This essentially shows that there is more buzz in the market related to business and finance. Look at the regulators, whether it is money market regulator, RBI, whether it is capital market regulator, SEBI. Both of them have now started over the last year or so, their YouTube channel. Earlier, they never had a YouTube channel. Earlier, did you ever see any ad of RBI? Never. Now we have a series of RBI, the ad, where the catch line is RBI kehta hai. So you will find cricketers, you'll find actors, you'll find celebrities coming for that 30 seconds, 60 seconds ad, telling people that why it's important to have a nominee in the bank account, why it's important to know that you cannot forge signatures, how to write checks properly, how can people dupe you, and that's why they guide with that tagline RBI kehta hai, with a series of advertisements for investor awareness. Yes? So in cricket matches and sports, you see that this was not happening earlier. All I'm saying is RBI has a YouTube channel, SEBI has a YouTube channel. We have come a long way in terms of the media avenues. There was a time when in India, we used to rely on pigeon to send across our message. Yes? And we had that song of Salman Khan, Kabutar Jaja, in 1989-90, the very famous song. But from there, we had that Govinda song, What is your mobile number? We came to mobile. Now we have songs on data, because data, they say, is the new oil. I will say, if data is the new oil, then data analytics is the new refinery. And chartered accountants are the best bet when it comes to data analytics. In fact, my personal take is that data is not the new oil. Data is the new oxygen. Data is the new water. You cannot really live without it. Every day, reams and reams of data is generated by the consumer. And now that we are in a decentralized creator economy, you need somebody who can kind of filter that quantity of data, add quality to it, and help in generating business intelligence. So, this is the very opportune time for chartered accountants to connect with the world at the click of the button. Look at this EDP program. Hats off to the committee for members in industry and business. It's a beautiful series that they have woven. Look at the lineup of topics. Look at the speakers. Right after me, we'll have C.A. Nandan who will be joining us from Dubai, and he'll be talking about what you can learn from a CFO. You have speakers from Gulf, you have speakers from America, Canada, Asia Pacific, Singapore. So the point is, this is all happening because now we can connect with each other at the click of the button, and everybody has access to good Wi-Fi and the infrastructure, and therefore this is a very opportune time. But that doesn't mean that the traditional way of media doesn't work. So print is also going strong. If you think that you have a particular thought on a particular subject, you should certainly come forward and write an article in the ICAI journal. Why not? Our ICAI journal is very popular. And I was looking at the June issue. We've got very good articles on capital markets, on mutual funds, deposits. So the fact that, ICAI journal, this June issue is talking about capital markets goes to show that there is an increased awareness, and very nice article. There's a beautiful article on the ESG, environmental social governance. ESG is so very important now when it comes to overall business, how we can kind of ensure our products and services are in alignment with the environment, the social welfare of the planet. So when you talk about print media, you've got the journal, magazines, and the newspaper. If you talk about electronic, you've got radio. I've been working for radio for 20 years now, All India Radio. Trust me, radio is my first love. We can read news on television for hours and hours, but my first love is radio. You sit in that studio and you've got the fader, you put the fader up and you can speak to the world. It's really nice. And even in radio, you've got community radio, which is coming up very well. And even in COVID, community radio has helped spread awareness in local languages, because the incidence of the disease could have seen a different pattern, different timeline for the onset. And that is where the community radio can target that local audience, telling them what needs to be done at a certain point of time. Then, of course, you've got the social media. Today we can connect through Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, so many, Telegram, and the OTT platform. So I request you, if you can share your first media experience in tweet or chat response. What's your first media experience? I was happy to see, in LinkedIn, sometimes I see a young chartered accountant sharing their first video on YouTube or some other platform that they're using to share their knowledge. And that really helps, because people want more and more on the finance and the wealth front. So please do share your first media experience.
Yeah, before the responses come, there was one question by one Jayesh Chauhan.
Yes.
He's a member, and he's asked a question as to whether all 300,000 CAs are alive. Well, I would like to inform the member and as well as others that ICAI keeps record of every student and every member pays his fees and gets his data updated. We are in touch with all our members, and the exact figure is 3,27,045 as on 1st April. This is apart from few hundred people who may not have paid their fees. So it is a fact that we have so many people who have done chartered accountancy, but this is a very, very less number given the 70-year history of the institute, and you are all so fortunate that in this elite profession there are only 300,000 people and you are one of them. That is my reply to this. Now, Aziz, sir, Amitji, Aziz has written that please share your journey to Doordarshan and how one can venture into them. Of course, Jayesh says the institute does not send him journal. Mr. Jayesh, I have noted down your email ID and mobile number. I'll see that journal reaches you. Don't worry.
In fact, I'd like to add, Ranganathan ji, that Jayesh can access the e-copy. So if you look at the ICAI Twitter handle, you can straight away access in matter of seconds the e-copy. In fact, about 3-4 years back, I had subscribed the e-journal and voluntarily asked not to send that hard copy. And we'll encourage chartered accountants also that they can sign up for the e-journal, and that will be our contribution towards the climate.
Yeah, we also give discounts, fee discounts when a member subscribes for e-journal.
Yes.
500 rupees.
Okay, very nice.
But here the question is not our revenue earning. Here the question is carbon footprint. We don't want to print. That's our issue. And I'm very happy to inform you, sir.
Yes.
Out of 327,000 chartered accountants we have, more than 50% people have said that they want only e-copy. They don't want a printed copy.
Very good.
Right.
Very nice.
And then I'm sure they are not said this only to save 500 rupees. Not at all.
Well, even if it saves money, that's fine. Like, for example, look at the sovereign gold bond that concludes today the tranche. If you do buy sovereign gold bond via online, then government gives you 50 rupees discount. So the idea is not 50 rupees. The idea is, why should I venture to the bank? Why should I bother going to the bank? Spend my time, fuel, everything. Of course, these are lockdown days, but otherwise also, the idea is that now at the click of the button, you can do it. It's all our association with media and our comfort with media.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amirji, now answers. I'd like to read out to the question that you had asked as to what was your first media experience.
Yes.
Pooja says her group picture was published in newspapers. They had won second place in UV Lights dance competition at Xavier's College Festival, Malhar. Fantastic. Wow. Krishan says LinkedIn and Twitter. Jayesh again says, I have my social media account on Instagram, FB and Twitter. Jayesh, he says he reads e-journal, but he loves to have a physical copy. Okay, we will take care, Mr. Jayesh. You will get a physical copy.
Okay. Jayesh is a very talkative member.
But Jayesh, I request you to reconsider. Why do you want a physical copy in COVID?
I think I have an answer for Jayesh comment. When it comes to, the normal books, that really sometimes we feel like having a physical copy. But I think when in a journal we are reading different articles, then physical copy, online copy is also good enough, I believe. Sometimes in the books we feel we want to have a smell of a book and want to feel it in our hand. I also maintain hard copies, 500, more than 500 in my library. But when it comes to journals, I prefer soft copy. Yeah.
Right. Well, some of the members can be innovative. You can also create audio books. So if you've read an article and you're not somebody who wants to write, you can always create an audio book. I can tell you, when I go to bed, I'm an avid reader. Either I'll read a book, like Pradeep J says, that sometimes you just love the smell of the book and just the feel of the book. But there are times when I'm tired, I'll close my eyes, I'll just read an audio book. Like recently I read the Mahatma Gandhi's My Experiment with Truth. It was available, audio book was available. And it was really nice. Just close your eyes and listen to the audio book. Similar experiences we can create for the upcoming accounting, finance, auditing related information.
Right.
Okay. Our member Aziz says, Vishal Dadlani, Rajat Kapoor, Sanjay Gupta, Hansal Mehta, Abhishek Jain, replying to him on Twitter was a fan moment for him.
Wow.
Great.
Wow. Great. That's the best part of the media, that look at the COVID situation. Would you all agree that Twitter was almost the unofficial helpline? Any average person could have written to the highest authority, and there was traction. Somebody came to help, and see, we are fighting it together, right? And even I, during the COVID, have created this YouTube series where we create humor, because media is so accessible. Why not? So the whole idea is that look around. Everyone is doing it. Today on 4th of June, as we conduct this particular session, you may be aware that from the 1st till the 6th of June, the income tax site is being redone. And come 7th of June, you will have a new site. One change, of course, is in the name. So no longer it will be incometaxefiling.gov.in. It will be a shorter version, incometax.gov.in. And I can tell you a lot of other very user-friendly features are coming. One of which is that in addition to the portal, you'll also have an all-new mobile app. Now, going forward, it appears that I could just use my mobile app and file my returns. So, the infrastructure is also being created. All of this is new media infrastructure. in the digital economy. When this will all come, do you think everybody will understand easily? So therefore, the role of the chartered accountant will be to first understand the features themselves, use them, and then second, as a nation builder, associate themselves with whichever media they feel like, whether print, electronic, social, digital, and in a simple, user-friendly manner, educate the masses. And like I talked about the interactive health program, come on, whether public service broadcaster, private channels, and take the live interactive sessions. Take the questions. Wherever people feel they are getting stuck or they want to understand why something is being done, no longer people just want to follow the policy. They would like to know the intent. They would like to know what's forthcoming. All of this is very essential. Like Aziz asked that, tell me about my journey. There was a point of time that when 20 years back, we used to have half an hour news bulletin, business news, 7 to 7:30. Most of the news that we read through the day was political news, 70 to 80, 90%. And then 10 to 15% was sports. And only 1% was business. So we had a dedicated half an hour chunk, and I used to read that business news, where we used to talk about Sensex, Nifty a little bit. But now see, almost every news has a business angle, a finance angle. A few years back, when I used to report on the union budget, that was the only day we used to think, okay, now the budget has to come. So this evening, every hour, we will have experts joining us and they will analyze the outcomes. But now, given the VUCA world that we have and the dynamic economy, whether India or the world has, you have changes coming almost every day, every week. So therefore, there is an increased need for analysis. So whether it's income tax side that is being redone, or if the 43rd GST Council meeting happened on the 28th, people would love to know what are the outcomes. And this is our role. If doctors are coming day in, day out on the health show, guiding me on the vaccine, on the COVID appropriate behavior, on the genomics, on the mutants, on the variants, and they're doing all of that over and over again. Similarly, like the medical bulletin is being released, similarly, we need chartered accountants to come and tell me that, okay, the 43rd GST Council meeting is concluded and these measures have been taken. Will there be GST on the oxygen concentrator? I need to know then, not 1 month later, not 1 year later. So as the news is coming, I also want an update on that. How can I, so if there's a circular which says that till this particular date, you can get this particular item as a gift and there'll be no IGST on it. Just mere mentioning this will not help. You want somebody there coming on the media and in easy manner and maybe once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, till the time the masses understand. Say that, right? So say, for example, there is an amnesty scheme that has come this time. What is the amnesty scheme? Who can apply? There can be a 1 hour program. Let people put a lot of questions. Simplify it for them so that for those who genuinely understand, then only be able to take amnesty scheme. Or if in this 43rd meeting, they have made a council of ministers, a group of ministers to come up with recommendations, whether there should be any concession or exemption on the GST rate for the COVID relief material. And that group has to come back to the GST Council by the 8th of June. So we should also be ready that what will happen on the 8th of June. Immediately, we will also analyze and tell the masses. So there's a lot of expectation that people have from the Chartered Accountant fraternity. And one area that perhaps still needs more attention, like I talked about the article in the June journal on ESG, it ties to the 17 Sustainable Developmental Goals of the United Nations. So TAs may still believe that what do I have to do in terms of fighting poverty or affordable energy or quality education, gender equality. No. Now everything that a company will do or a business will do will be mapped in terms of the progress they are doing on these 17 SDGs. And only this week, Niti Aayog has released the SDG India Index. So just like we know Sensex, just like we know Nifty as an index, please also know India has an SDG index. So we have to be also mindful of the progress on these, because if it is not sustainable, it is not development. We are already seeing how nature has responded to our wrongdoings over the last century or so in terms of the development. We have not probably done the balance enough between development and sustainable development. And that's why you see the impact of nature. So going forward, to recap, and then we'll take more questions from the audience, I foresee active participation of our chartered accountants in many panel discussions in the mainstream media and with also stakeholders for policy reforms. Then the expectation is that we will simplify the impact of the policy changes. The policy changes are no longer limited to the budget day. Not that you have to do it on the 1st of February. It can happen every day. Has to happen. And so the frequency is far more, and we need a dynamic analysis almost on day-to-day basis. Then we need to develop capability to do live interaction, to take audience queries to ensure financial literacy. So what is a bank account? What is a DMAT account? What are the pros and cons of a particular investment? So that they can take an informed decision, but we can help manifest and crystallize the advantages and disadvantages of any product. And we need to also handhold them to develop business acumen. More and more youngsters will say no to job, will say yes to creating jobs. So that needs business acumen. How we handhold them so that they can develop that. Then I also foresee that chartered accountants will be addressing press conferences to share periodic results of the organization. And this will not just be limited to listed companies. I am saying any company, unlisted, whatever company. Say, for example, if you have instances where a certain organization had huge debts and that's why it almost became bankrupt, or their leadership took very dangerous steps of harming themselves, why should we go that far? Debt does not get raised in a matter of a few months or even few years. So the press conference will be where the journalist will be absolutely free to ask questions to the finance manager plus person that, okay, in the last month, last 3 months, how much debt have you taken? How do you see debt equity ratio? What are the plans? Everything will be asked. And we have to develop capability for that. I don't know whether we are aware that, in the French Open, the second Grand Slam of the year in tennis, there's an incident where the Japanese tennis player, Naomi Osaka, is not playing French Open. You know why? Because she cited certain mental health issues. She said that I will play, and she's a Grand Slam winner. She said I will play French Open only if the organizers are okay with the fact that I will not address the press. Now that was not acceptable to the organizers. It's a part of the package that if you're playing French Open, then after your match you will be addressing the press. I think Naomi Osaka had a good point that if she had some mental health issues, she did not want to come in front of the press. She said that she may not necessarily be able to respond properly. The question I'm trying to tell you is that media can be nasty and questions can be asked left, right, center. But what we have to develop is our ability to stay calm and ensure that we are there to counter fake news. We are there to help people understand the policy. We are there to help people understand why it's important to pay taxes on time. We are there to make them understand that where does their money go, and therefore through our accounting and auditing process, ensure that whether it's personal finance, business, corporate, public finance is very, very important. All these years we were taught that a accrual system of accounting is good, not the cash system of accounting. But then we have to ask that why do the governments of the day are significantly on the cash system of accounting? This will be asked, and there will be a change, and certainly in the digital economy. Look at how now you have so much of transactions happening through the direct benefit transfer. Click of the button and crores of money going into respective account. Why? Jam. So the fact is that more and more transparency will happen and more questions will be asked. And this is where chartered accountants have to come forward and ensure that they rededicate themselves to the motto of our institute, the ICAI, Ya Ishu Supteshu Jagriti. So we are the person who is awake in those that sleep. Media can help reach out to more and more people. So embrace media. Don't have any apprehensions of media. And it's very essential that apart from the technical competency that you all have, no one can ever doubt the technical competency, but alongside staying calm, not getting rattled by the question of the journalist. Journalists will ask them tough questions. I mean, if Osaka is saying that I will only play and not address press, French Open organizers have not accepted it. Osaka is out of the tournament. I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong. I'm saying this is something that has happened this week. Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka is not playing French Open. Why? She said, I will only play, I will not address the press. That means there is some problem, whether with media or with the person who's addressing. I'm saying same thing is going to happen with us. Any organization will have to ensure transparency in finances, and therefore periodic press conferences will happen. Let's start our capacity building where I understand the business model of the company I'm working for, and I have this face who can be a spokesperson and can come and can share how the numbers are behaving. Only numbers don't mean anything. We need somebody who can interpret and do the storytelling. When the government comes up with GST Council meeting, we need somebody who can help us understand what is the amnesty scheme, where are the concessions, what is happening. If the new website is going to come to on 7th, then on 7th itself, I'll be very happy. Some of these people who are tuned to the program today, make a 5-minute video of at least one point, put it on the YouTube. If you have any doubt, like one of our respondents said that some of the celebrities, including Hansal Mehta and others, have responded. You also tag Finance Minister. And I can tell you that even Finance Minister, Prime Minister, everybody does respond. Now, that's the kind of vibrant democracy we are in. You can tag whosoever. You can tag President of the ICAI. I'm very sure that ICAI Twitter handle will respond. So that's the power of media. Wasn't the case 10 years back. But today, from Kabutar, we have come to click of the button. Take advantage of it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ranganathan ji.
Hanji. There is one Aziz. He says that with the boom in ITT platform and they becoming an almost parallel to theaters, what role CAs can play in the same?
Yes. So when we talk about OTT, not only we've got the Amazon Prime and Netflix, which has become popular, you also have Voot, you have Sony Live, you've got Z, and I can tell you there are many more coming because you are a business solution provider, Aziz. It doesn't really take much to create an OTT platform. You can create a legal status, you can have this business, create an OTT platform, get the license. It all depends what content are you showing. And that content will pick up with time. I can tell you when the first series of Money Heist came, nobody watched it. It was a flop, even in Spain. But when the makers made the second series and it picked up, as luck would have it, COVID came, everybody was watching Money Heist. And now you know on the 3rd of September, the final series is coming, the 5th version. So even you can start an OTT platform. I won't be surprised that in next year, in India itself, we may have 4, 5, a dozen successful OTT platforms. Doordarshan has a OTT platform now. Even we have a public broadcaster is also now coming up with a more active OTT platform.
Sir, the CA Kamal Gerg, one of our senior faculties, he's also participating in the program. So that's great of him. Nice of you, sir. He says, good evening, Amit ji. Media has power. My journey also started by writing article on FBT on ICAI journal.
Okay. Very nice. So let me first of all say Namaskaram to CA Kamal Gerg. And on
Namaskar,
7th June, that's Monday, day 5, Kamal sir will be presenting on the topic, My Experience as Recruiter for Financial Reporting Domain. Now here is another successful story that Kamal ji is saying that his journey started out by writing on the FBT. For those who do not know, FBT is Fringe Benefit Tax. The then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, was really asked a lot of questions on why do you bring FBT. And I can tell you, Kamal ji, at that point of time, I was CFO with an Australian company, 2006, Intrepid Travels. And it was an Australian company. And what happened, Ranganathan ji, we used to have groups come over. Those were booked in Melbourne. Melbourne was the headquarters. And then when they came to Indira Gandhi International Airport, our tour guide used to receive them. From then on, next 15 days, we used to take care of them. And every passenger, say, was paying about 100,000 rupees for that 15-day trip. So for that 100,000, a certain component was for the hotel lodging. So we got a notice from the income tax department that, say, for example, in 1 year, we did 100 crore turnover. They said out of 100 crore, 70 crore was for the hotel lodging. And they said that hotel lodging should also come within the FBT. I fought that case. And very merrily, I can say that we won that case, that FBT was not supposed to be there on that. Otherwise, we would have become bankrupt. So FBT, of course, for those who do not know, another 2 years was scrapped. So there's no FBT now because it was very difficult to really figure out what was fringe benefit. But to Kamalji's question, that one article he wrote, and since then I can tell you, Kamalji has written many books. He is a very acclaimed author. And I don't know whether in CA we call, but he's a bestseller. I don't know whether we call accounts and auditing books bestseller, but certainly they are. So thank you for your question.
Yeah, we can say IFRS books bestseller.
Yes.
On the IFRS.
Yes. But I'll encourage people
Kamalji has supplemented his. Oh, sir. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Amitji. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just one comment that writing the first article, making that first video, that first step is very, very important. A lot of people may think, no, I'll not be able to speak on radio. No, that doesn't happen. Like Aziz was asking my journey. I still remember my first program on radio. And, once that happened, then the second program happened, then the third. And, then you get more programs. So write that first article. Make that first appearance.
And also you
supplemented.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pradeepji, aap boliye.
No. Also, what I want to say that, yesterday one of entrepreneur who was here, he said that first time when we do something, we may get rejection. So similarly, if we make a video or we write an article, there may be very less response on it. So even if the response is less, I think we shouldn't get dejected because once the things move, once we continuously do things, then definitely the things will change. So we should continuously put our efforts even though the response may not be that great when we start.
Yes. CA Kamalji has supplemented his views by saying SDG index becomes important nowadays even on account of new CSR and BRSE norms notified recently. And he further says CAs have great opportunity via media interaction to make insolvency resolution a success. No
Absolutely.
doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
These are big reforms, whether we talk about insolvency, bankruptcy, whether we talk about the SDG index, we have framed them now. The next question is how using media we inform the people. That's the big challenge. And another challenge that we'll have in our country is the diverse languages. So we need people not only competent to explain in, say, English or Hindi. I'm saying that once you understand the content, then make sure that in your district, we've got 734 districts. Let's talk about district-led development. I remember interviewing Suresh Prabhuji when the new industrial policy was coming. The minister was very clear. We did about 1.5 hour live show, an hour and a half live show. We did 90 minutes live with him, and we had about 100 industrialists with us also on the program. Sureshji, as a commerce minister, made a very important point. He said, Amit, from here on, it will always be district-led growth because every district has their own strengths. So this is how we'll go. Look at UP. We've come up with a program called One District, One Product, ODOP. So we also need people who, once they understand a certain concept, they can take that learning to their district in that vernacular language.
CA Kamalji says that he was interviewed by ET for insolvency law and he realized its power of creating awareness.
Very nice.
Very nice to know.
Right.
So we are left with 1 minute, sir.
Yes. So time flies. The last minute, I will just say that, when we are on radio, if I have to read news on the hour, then 7 p.m. news means news at 7. One thing that I've learned in media, that every second in life counts. So if you are embracing media, make sure that you're very clear with the message in your head. You will not have the luxury to take more time. If the journalist asks you a question, you have probably 30 to 40 seconds to ensure that you are able to respond. If you give long-winded answer, if you repeat, it's not going to work. I remember my English teacher, Mrs. Wattle, in Cambridge School. He used to say, Ahmed, if you can cut even one single word without altering the meaning of the sentence, do that. So we have to build our capacity of how in minimum words we convey maximum. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful session we had.
May I have the pleasure of proposing the vote of thanks, Amit ji? या प्रभदेव जी आप करेंगे?
नहीं, Ranganathan ji, you are expert in vote of thanks, so please continue.
Sir, it's a pleasure. Thanksgiving to you, sir. You explained how media has influenced the life of people. It's very important, sir, tool not only for dissemination of information and policies, but particularly during this COVID period, media's role cannot be undermined at all. Digital India has certainly helped in digital money transfer. We have been able to remove lots of middlemen and people have got direct access to the government's benefits, which I remember Mr. Rajiv Gandhi had said once that I send 1 rupee, the last person who should receive it receive only 5 naya paisa. 95 gets lost. Now this government has been able to plug it to a great extent, all because of media. Sir, you address one addresses the masses on financial literacy through media, very valid point. And print media, electronic media, social media, digital media, they all play a very important role. And the more one can use it, the more success one can find. Thank you so very much for a very wonderful session once again, sir. And thank you for taking out time for us once again. Greatly obliged to you.
Thank you. Pleasure entirely mine. All the best for the future sessions. I look forward to Nandan ji's sessions. Thank you very much, Prabdeep ji. Thank you, Ranganathan ji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Prabdeep ji, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ranganathan ji. I'm very happy to be here today, a bit late. Apologies to everyone. Got stuck in a meeting which got delayed. Sincere gratitude to the CMIB committee for this opportunity and the program which we are conducting under the leadership of Central Council Member Chairman of the committee, C.A. Hansraj Chuk sir, and Vice Chairman C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir. This has been of immense value for all of us, and the fourth batch of this program, with the support of all of you as the participants, has been going extremely well, wherein we have completed 2 sessions, and now we move on to the third session of this program and the second session in today's schedule. So we have someone very experienced, C.A. Nandan Bendarkar, who is based in Dubai. C.A. Nandan Bendarkar is the Managing Director of MBK Auditing. He hails from a small town in Maharashtra. Born and brought up in a typical Marathi middle-class family, C.A. Bendarkar finished his schooling and junior school there. For his undergrad studies, he moved to Pune. His education qualifications include BCom from Savitribai Phule University in Chartered Accountancy from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, MDP in Strategic Finance from IIM Ahmedabad, FMBA from Corporate Financial Institute Canada, Professional Stock Trader Part 1 and Part 2 series from Online Trade Academy USA, Level 4 Certificate in Advanced Wealth Management from CISI UK, Train the Trainers certification from TAP Foundation India. Over the last 30 years, he has worked as a professional at various levels with Landmark Group, Al-Hoker Group, Future Group, Neurot Group, Eurostar Group, EPS Group, to name a few. He has traveled to over 50 countries for business and pleasure across 4 continents. He is also a board member of GMNI, which is one of the largest accounting associations in the world, and he is serving currently as a president of Asia Pacific region of GMNI network. His firm is part of GMNI. I hope Nandan is here. Nandan, your video is off. Can we see you? So, should I call Nandan? Apologies, just allow me to give a call.
Yeah, Nandanji is there with us, but his audio and video is closed. Just give him a call and see. Yeah, he's here. Sir, good evening. Welcome to you. We just introduced you to you. Sir, your instrument is mute. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So, Nandan, thank you so much for being with us here today. I have made participants aware of your profile, but there were some things which were not written there. Considering that I know you for so many years, I would like to also share that Nandan was a very important part of our VAT implementation here in UAE, which was a new beginning for UAE, considering the very less form of taxes are here in UAE, and he played a significant part as a trainer for VAT and our publications. And another thing that I would like to say, he's very supportive, and he is someone who has a depth of experience, wherein he has an answer to every question, and he will have a case study and an example for every question. So we are very happy that Nandan, with such a vast experience you are here today to share insights on what our young members can learn from CFO. Considering your experience as a CFO before you move into consulting, and now you act as a virtual CFO for many organizations. So this will be a great session for all of the members here. So I would like to urge you all participants to please be careful and listen to every word carefully. And Nandan, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabdeep ji. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, you are audible. Yes.
Thank you, Rangnath ji. Thank you, Prabdeep ji, for those kind words. I hope I am able to live up to that introduction. And thank you, Amit ji, for a wonderful session on the media. I got a very short presentation on what you should learn from your CFO. And when I was talking about this subject with some of my friends, and many people question the F in the CFO. And I used to love, whenever he used to call me, he says, what do you do as a CFO? And what is that F for? And I have to tell them, this F for fun. Okay? I'm going to be the chief fun officer of this company. I want to enjoy my working life, and I want all my staff to enjoy my working life. So that is how the role of CFO should be. Because we are finance people, and we always think about finances. I mean, you talk to a common person, he says, finance, oh, tedious job. Numbers. And I would say, I'm the one guy who will not ever talk about numbers. Because if you do the right thing, the numbers will take care of themselves. So there is no need to talk about numbers. We no need to get lost in the numbers. And I'm going to give you quite a few quotes, and quote unquote, I mean, this is with due respect to all the female members here. Neville Cards once said about numbers. He said, numbers are like two-piece bikini bathing costumes. He says, what they reveal is important, but what they conceal is more vital. So don't talk about numbers. Think about enjoying your life in whatever role you are. So I will take you a couple of things here. What is know yourself? What do you want to retire as? How do you do the gap analysis? What do you learn from CFO? And of course, we'll do the question and answer. But again, if you have the questions, anytime you can fire in, no problem. And that would make the session a lot more lively. So the thing is, know yourself. Now, first of all these young chartered accountants, I must congratulate you. You are the prestigious 327,000 people Ranganathan just told us. You have passed one of the most difficult examination and the prestigious examination. And you hope to build your life career on it, because when you are young, people tell, oh, you should do your CA and that's it. Forget about it. Guys, things have changed. It's no more that once you pass an examination, everything is done with. I'm sure most of you have passed your exam in the first attempt, but many of us are not that lucky. And I tell you a common story here with the people. The common man will tell when you are not passing an examination, common man will say, oh, look at this guy, he knows nothing. He's not even able to pass a CA examination. The moment you pass, the same guy will ask you some stupid question which he even doesn't know what it is. And then when you are not able to reply, he will say, look, he's a CA but he doesn't know even this. So, what? Are you done something or you're not done something? Of course you have done a lot. You have achieved a lot. You have passed, as I said, and I keep on repeating that take pride yourself being the member of this prestigious institute. Trust me, you are only one out of 327,000. And we have billion plus 1.3 billion. So don't even go into find out the ratios of those numbers. Not worth it. You are a precious one. Keep it in mind. But how do you maintain that value? You're like an uncut diamond, right? But if you don't, if uncut diamond, if you keep it the same way in your cupboard for next 25 years, it's still going to remain uncut diamond, and that's it. The value is not going to increase too much. But if you polish it, if you work on it, you can increase the value n number of times. So, what do you want to retire as? It's a big question everybody has got. Keep about the other things like people say, I want to retire at 45. Yes, very easy. Buy some of the stocks in like Apple or Facebook and then retire. In 5 years, you can retire, probably, or 10 years, you can retire. And people nowadays, we have got, as Amit ji was telling, there are various ways of investments also. So you can invest in some unlisted entities and blah, blah, and you can retire as a wealthy person and don't bother about profession. That doesn't happen. You want to retire as what? As a CFO, as a director of finance, CEO, entrepreneur. My humble advice of all these things, first, try to become a very good human being. That's the quality which is a rare today. So if you are a good human being, all other designations will always come before that or after that without any question. Because you will be recognized by a person, not as by chartered accountant. And do that because that's the most important thing today to happen to any one of us. We want to meet, we want to have a business, we want to interact with nice people who have got nicety about them. So whatever you retire as a CFO or you don't retire, I always used to tell my son, I said, you do whatever you want, I don't care. Whatever qualification you do, I don't care. I want you to be a nice person. That's it. If you're a nice person, all other things will follow. So that's my first piece of advice. But you still want to retire as a CFO, director of finance, CEO, entrepreneur, whatever it is. So how do you do the gap analysis? So find out why your CFO is a CFO today. Or how long did he become to CFO? One of the most important things. And how has he evolved professionally? Right? I wrote one of the few questions which I used to think, like why my boss is my boss? Why I can't be the boss? One of the biggest and most important question or answer to this is experience. You cannot buy experience. In the US, people finish the 4-year degree in 3 years or 2 years even because they work overtime, they work in the summer. Even you people, some of the people have passed the final examination as soon as they finish the article. People nowadays don't go to the college. We had in our office a few years ago a CA who has passed her examination at the age of 21. Right? But at 21, can you become a CFO? Keep in mind, getting a designation as a finance manager, financial controller, group financial controller, the group entity manager, and so on. The first question you should ask, are you eligible for that? Are you eligible to carry out those jobs required at that level? And now that is where I come to one of my first thing. What do you learn from CFO? My first question to you is, what do you want to be? Trained or coached? Can someone answer me the difference between training and coaching? Raghunathanji, if any responses, can you please let me know? This is
Sure,
one.
the responses, the response will come after around 30 seconds or so.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is the difference between a person being trained, person being coached? That's the question. Please give your answers.
I mean, most of us know what is training, right? We are trained at the school, we are trained at the colleges, we are trained by our bosses at the articleship. The books are there, B schools are there, the training institutes are there. What's the difference between training and coaching? Why don't we call that coaching? No responses?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Coaching, Nandan, I think, has a very different meaning and goes to a different level. I think all our young members, so we are more connected with the training, where we keep on continuously learn, and coaching. I haven't experienced coaching as yet because I've never worked with a coach.
Yeah. So the coaching.
The answers have started to come. Shall I read out the answers?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Sumat says a lion can be trained but cannot be coached. Jayesh says training is for jobbers and coach is for players. And Pooja says we put in actual practical work in training while coaching is more theoretical. Divya says training results to experience. Then Vanjishwaran says teaching how to do is training. Teaching what to do when is coaching. Prashant says trained is learning from bosses. Coaching is learning from surrounding. Ashwini says training involves practical experiences, but coaching does not. Bhaskar's view is coach as a guide, while trainer as strict implementation, what has to be done. Sumat says training is to teach a methodology, a process, while coaching is related to growth, building a base, a foundation. Sony says coaching means you are being refined, a bit more polishing, training, anyone can be trained, even animals. Rupesh says training, it's a long process. I think more responsibilities keep coming, but then I'll stop here.
The one particular phrase I was looking at is like coaching comes out of personal life experiences.
Right.
You know, in stock market, they say that history repeats, but many people have changed that notation and they said history does not repeat, but history rhymes. So even in your working experience, the situations do keep on coming. For example, take about the situation of raising funds for your company. There are many companies who raise funds periodically for expansion purpose, for whatever purpose maybe. So but the situation every time is different, right? So it is a question of whether you want to be trained or you want to be coached. I always say I've been very lucky in my life. In my first job, I had 3 bosses. And literally 3 bosses used to talk to me 3 hours a day and I never used to get a time to do my work. But now I realize that those extra hours I put in was my actual university. Because I got trained by 3 top-notch people, top-notch professionals, and they taught me way of life. Nobody taught me finance. Trust me, nobody taught me finance. And probably it will same thing happen with you. You don't need to learn finance anymore. You have learned enough. But what about the practical experience? And how, I mean, everybody knows today IFRS, or you talk about simple concept of our debit and credit. Go any part of the world, debit and credit is the same. You don't need to be trained about it. You have learned it enough. You have proved it through your passing of your examination. But still, how to behave in a particular situation, that needs to be coached. That cannot be trained because you need life situations there. And that's why if someone asks me whether I want to be trained or I want to be coached, I would always say I want to be coached by an experienced person. And that experience does not need to bring in qualification. I mean, You would have seen a lot of people even in the Indian industry who were sort of running the company. They had very little professional qualification, but they had loads of experience. I mean, I'm sure around you also, I mean, during articleship time or during some of the many companies, when you talk about this media interactions of the companies, you will find that they have one person who is not a qualified person, but he holds a high position and he guides the top management. Why? Because of his experience. And hence, if you're looking to be someone in your life, don't look for a trainer, look for a coach and get attached to him and breathe your life with him. If he eats, you eat with him the same thing. If he drinks, drink the same thing with him. You know, because that way you will know how to behave. I mean, don't think that your exams are over in your past. When you are doing your CA, your exams are twice a year. In your working life, your exam is every moment. Every time you open your mouth for talking, people are observing you. They are observing your body language. They're saying if somebody, boss gives you work at 8 o'clock in the night and he says, I want to be finished. He's, other than anything, he's watching your reaction. What's your reaction? Are you willing to do that? You know, so the coach is the most important person in your life, and the earlier you find the coach in your life, the better you are. So anyway, we'll talk about other skills. Of course, the soft skills and the technical skills, but the slightly different skills you're talking all time. It's just not, I mean, soft skills like, okay, strategy, reporting, day-to-day functioning, I'll come back to that a little later. I've come to this. Now I've written 5 items here: art of communication, art of presentation, art of reading, art of letter writing, and the power of conviction. Do you think all these 5 things are different or 5 things are one and the same thing? The art of communication, that includes, of course, the art of presentation or art of letter writing, because letter writing is a way of communication. Or art of reading. Reading is a communication again. Or the power of conviction. Again, you're talking to someone. But your references will keep on changing. When you're writing a letter to your subordinate or writing a mail to your subordinate, will differ from writing a mail to a CFO of another company or CEO of another company or head of marketing or head of sales of another company. Your tone of the letter has to change. So it may be the art of letter writing, and you will say, oh, in my examination, I had a communication paper and I excelled in that. Yes, you're fine. Absolutely super. But how do you react? How do you react to a situation after writing a letter? Something happens. How do you respond immediately? How long do you take to respond? Like, you know, with this today's world, everybody writes hi, and I hate that. I mean, I always see, whom are you writing hi as? Is it your colleague or somebody? And these are some of the basics as we go along, we are forgetting. I do understand. I mean, many a times people give me answer, yeah, sir, but this is the way nowadays the communication goes. Could be. I'm probably an old school man and I don't like it. Right. And there are many people who don't like it. It's not just me. You agree, Prabdeep ji?
Yeah, true. Nandan, but I feel that, if anyone is writing hi, he or she may feel like they will get connected faster. We may be more informal and fluent. But as you said that there has to be a decency and a formal relationship has to be maintained. So never in my communications I write hi. I will always follow that dear and yeah.
There are ways of getting close to each other, even if there is a person from the other organization. There are ways and means. There are events. There are places where you will meet. You will develop that rapport. All that happens. Yeah. Definitely, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But to begin with, and even if you develop that rapport, certain standards you need to maintain because that shows your personality.
True.
And that goes a long way. For example, another thing of letter writing or report writing or presentation, I mean, whichever way you take it. Sorry, my apologies. You know, the Reagan doctrine we had the ex-president of United States, Ronald Reagan. And when he was, sorry, when he was briefed by his team, he used to say, I want any problem to be put in on a 1 A4 size paper. And that's it. Why? Because today our span of control of time or our habits of reading they are fast disappearing. Thanks to media today, even I used to read a lot earlier, but today if you say, I got a podcast. So first thing you do, whatever you are not doing anything, switch on the podcast and listen while you are doing few other things. Multitasking. But let me tell you, I mean, that's not the topic of today's thing, but multitasking does not work. So the art of writing, I mean, what you want to write, and even in all communication classes, they will tell you 10-80-10 rule. Your introduction should be there, your body should be there, your conclusion should be there. Keep in mind, you are a chartered accountant, you are holding an important position. You always need to learn to take the stand. It could be wrong, doesn't matter. You can afford to make few mistakes for sure. And nobody is going to blame you for making a mistake. But don't sit on the fence. Because what happens if you sit on the fence, people will think that you don't have enough knowledge of the subject. And that's why when you are later writing, you should always have later broken in 3 segments clearly with what you are introducing the subject, what is the body, what are the contents, and then conclusion, what is your opinion about it. Because even if he's your CFO or CEO or whoever it is your boss, he would like to have your opinion because he treats you as a professional. He treats you as someone with the knowledge. He treats you as someone who has got the knowledge in the subject matter and he wants your opinion. That someone could come in later and say you are wrong, fine. And that's a part of your learning. That's a part of your experience. The same thing goes with art of presentation. I mean, I know you guys are technologically super solid these days because you are doing it. I mean, we never did. We did technology and all this presentation and all this. I did on the job. Or I did some extra courses to make a presentation and I used to hate making presentation. Even I'll tell you my evolution. I mean, my boss used to tell me, give me a presentation, don't give me anything. And then I used to think, in one presentation, in one slide, how do I put all these numbers? Or how do I put all these matters? Or how do I write it? There is a limitation on PowerPoint. But the process I learned. Earlier I used to write this one slide and I used to write 20 lines and nobody would read anything. And many people still make that mistake. Many people, I mean, look at Amitji's presentation. It was one of the best presentations I've seen. You write less, talk more, so that people don't spend time on reading your slides. One of the things is power of conviction. Are you getting convicted? I mean, do you have conviction about the subject you're talking? I mean, that will tell others that what kind of a person you are. So these are the very important skills. And I tell you, these are skills not to be learned in one day. You will evolve into a person. It might take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And by the time you learn something, I mean, for example, look at today's platform, the Blue Jeans. I'm using this Blue Jean platforms for the first time. So every day there is something new to learn for you people. And on the technology side, yes, there is a lot. But don't let the technology take over you. You must be in control. Even when you are doing presentation, I mean, earlier I tell you what, I mean, it was like pre-computer days or just the computer was evolving and we didn't even have an Excel at that time. And I used to be a group financial controller for one of the groups having operations in about 7-8 years, 7-8 countries. And deadlines, and you know that we are deadlines like, okay, we have to submit the report on the 5th, people will start reporting 5th evening only. And then I used to realize, oh, he has sent me on email, but I cannot copy and paste because the both versions we are using are different. Or he had sent an email in some totally different format that I cannot even open. You know? So these are the technological issues which you will all face, and it is important for you to again get used to these things. So talk to people more often, find out in what format somebody is going to do, or if you're in control, tell them this is the format, this is the Excel version, this is the platform you're going to use, and make your life easier. Because communication can really kill you because there are many slips between your cup and the lip. So it is one of the most important soft skills. I mean, there are lots of soft skills which you can learn, but one thing is communication, writing, letter writing, report writing, and many people are still not aware exactly what I mean. I'm quite sure about it. So if you have any questions, examples, please you can fire those questions. Otherwise, I'll move to the next session.
Yeah, there are no further comments. In case you have a specific question, you can ask them and then they
sure.
respond.
Sure, no problem. So the next set of soft skills: work ethics, teamwork, adaptability, trust. Now everybody will have a question: what is trust? What is work ethics? You know, I always used to say, I mean, I did a presentation about a couple of years ago in one of the conferences. And one of the person in audience asked the question, according to you, who is the best accountant? I said, do you want to answer Middle East centric? And I said, I got a very simple answer, which is the Middle East centric. The best accountant I have is the person whom I can trust. Who could be my son, who could be my daughter, who could be my son-in-law, who could be my nephew, who could be my daughter-in-law, it could be anybody. But the person I trust. And then I don't care whether he or she knows accountancy or no. My question is, if I give 5 million now, after 1 year, if I ask him that 5 million should remain 5 million, that's it. If that person can follow this simple rule, he is my accountant. So that is trust. Very important. You need to create the trust within the team, within your bosses, within the organization, and across the organization also, because sometimes you give your word to someone in the third organization, and if you are not able to keep that word, your credibility is under the question. Work ethics. Simple thing. What is work ethics? I mean, today, COVID situation, we don't go to office, and probably going ahead in life, many of us will work from home. I mean, many countries are still working from home, but I tell you my experience. I worked for one organization for 4 years. And 4 years, my boss used to call at 8 hours, 29 minutes and 60 seconds. The time was to start office. 8:30 dot. And trust me, I never missed his phone call even once in those 4 years. When I left that organization, I told him, I said, I won't take his name now, but I said, look, don't you think that you were testing me every day for last 4 years, whether I come in office at time or not? And if we had an event in the previous night, or we had some dinner, corporate dinner or something, he would call me a minute earlier, but not a minute later. And he said, yes, I was testing and I was trying. I was hoping that at least I get you one day, but you didn't give me an opportunity even for a day. I said, thanks to you. I said, you were sitting early in the morning and I'm putting an alarm in your mobile and I'm on your breakfast table, you would call me. I said, that also I know because I spoke to your wife once. And that's called work ethics. And the man would get annoyed with me if I tell him, I will do this by 10 o'clock. If I don't do this by 10 o'clock, it's a problem. And that's how you will create again the trust with him. If you say you do something by 10 o'clock, better do it by 10 o'clock. And that's one of the things, again, your soft skills, I do that in a couple of my programs, how you organize your day. It's a very important matter how you organize your day, how you organize your week, how you organize your month, and even going in the longer time zone, how you organize your year. Because you are in a position where you will sort of control many things. And if you don't plan your day, you won't be able to plan your colleagues' days. Because you have a lot of times you will have a couple of people working with you. They could be your colleagues, they could be your subordinates, they could be your seniors. But you need to take time to organize your day. As they say, the planning is the most important. I mean, strategy, adaptability, all those things will come. But if you don't plan your day, if you don't plan your week, a month, and we all have deadlines. I always say, even in the Middle East now, because of the VAT and excise, we have the deadlines and lot more things are coming. But anywhere else, some deadline is always there. But you need to plan long ahead that this is what is going to happen. And think about your holidays, think about your personal issues of people, think about what certain other situations, like in the West, they always think the weather in advance, what is going to be the weather, is going to be storm, whether it's going to be heavy snowfall, and according to that you need to organize. Like today, there was a rain in Delhi. What if the whole network communication would have failed? What we would have done? So these are the simple points, but these are the points which will give you an edge over the others. Like the teamwork. How do you become the best manager? Any question, how do you become the best manager taking care of your people or working with your people? I always say...
Yeah. Nandan, this is the question you are asking?
If somebody is willing to answer, yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, I want to share, there is a comment. There are some comments where many have said that this talk is awesome. Thank you so much. And there's one comment where Rupesh is asking that why do we call these as soft skills? So from your experience.
Because these are the skills there is nothing hard and fast technique or there are no rules.
Right.
You keep on learning this. Whenever you want to talk, can I say that your pitch should be this much, your voice level should be this much? No. Today I'm sitting without a mic. If I had a mic or if it was a live performance, I would have moved on my stage. Probably some of the things I would have come closer to the mic, or some cases I would have shouted. Some cases I would have been very soft. So it depends on various situations. How do you react? And there is no hard and fast rule. Like in accountancy, debit and credit, there is hard and fast rule. So that's why they call it the rules. Yeah. But when you talk, I have I'm a Maharashtrian, by my name. There is a activist called Anil Outset, and I heard his speech once. He was speaking for 2 hours, and his tone never changed. He was like one single straight line he was talking. And we were wondering, what is this happening? And we were spellbound, no doubt about it. So that's a style. And you cannot say that's the wrong style or that's the right style. But if you go to the theater and somebody is talking in the same voice, all actors are talking the same pitch, you will get bored.
Right. Nandan, we have been, getting this question in the last 20 days very often, that how to maintain the interest while working from home. Because many have just started their job or are into the job from 4 months, and they started in the COVID time only. And you talked about work ethics when gave example when you were in the office every day. So I think that I personally believe that, from our work ethics, the first thing interest comes up or develops. Considering your experience, if you can help, considering your firm where your people must have also worked for so many days from home. So how they can develop the interest also, if you can help answer this question.
See, number one, this work from home concept is I mean, it's not new to the IT or the techies that they call.
Right.
They have been working from home for a long time.
Hmm.
I find it little difficult in audit world to do the work from home because there is a limitation on how much documents you can check, because I know that every document today is scanned and it's available somewhere in the system. So you can obviously refer to it and look and check it. But I still feel there are lots of limitations in the audit functions.
Yeah.
In the medicine function, I don't think this is going to happen. Work from home, or even in the legal function, it's not going to happen, because if you need to go to the court, you need to go to the court. But how do you develop interest? Yes, I mean, see, I said when I started my speech, I said the F stands for fun.
Right.
I mean, one of the things is, if you're not enjoying something, you will never do it properly. Or
Right.
so enjoying things is one of the most important thing. Because see, if you divide the day into three parts, 8 hours and 8 hours, or 8 to 10 hours nowadays we spend in office. And if those 10 hours are not enjoyable, you're going to make worst of the other 20 hours or other whatever 16 hours or 14 hours, whatever you're left with. So the first thing in this, I keep on saying, in the teamwork, if you are a good manager, if you could tell the people that what particular mistake a particular person will commit in a particular situation, if you are able to guess that, or if you are able to understand that, I think you could be the best manager. Because with my experience nowadays, I know what kind of work I should give to whom.
Yeah.
So that it will be done faster, it will be done accurately. I think Bill Gates said once that if there is the most difficult work, I give it to the laziest person, because he will find the easiest way to do it.
Hmm.
But you need to find out who is the laziest person.
Yeah.
Right? So the same thing in your team, you need to know each and every aspect of that team. I mean, why do you think the gatherings are important? Why do you think the excursions are important? Why do you think, in the organization I work, we used to have a potluck dinner, or the pot dinner, what we used to call, every month. And we used to go to everybody's home for dinner.
Right.
Why? Because you need to know the family of the person. You're just not that person, but you need to know what's going on. Because if the person is preoccupied with something which is happening at his home front, and which is not quite a pleasant scenario, he's definitely not going to give it to you 100% on your work. So if you're sitting at home, talk to the people, find out the common interest, enjoy those common interests. I mean, I was in one of the universities, and I was talking to that counselor. And he gave me a simple thing. He said, the first thing I do when I get new batches of the students, the first thing I do is find out who are the students with one sibling, who are with two siblings, who are with three siblings or more. He said, because the people who have got no sibling, they behave totally different than people who have got two or three siblings.
True.
And this is the most important aspect you need to understand on your workplace. And there is no science to teach you this. I cannot refer to that, go and read this particular book and you will know how to behave. This is learning by experience. And that's why I keep on saying that the experience you cannot substitute by reading books. There is a book by Chris Evert Lloyd, one of the greatest tennis players, one of my favorite. And she has written in a book, when you are one set down and second set you're serving at 5-4 and you are trying to stay in the match. He said the coach will give you idea that do this, do that, everything. But ultimately you need to go and execute it.
Right.
And ultimately it's you, nobody, your mother is not going to come to help you, your dad is not going to come to help you, neither your boss is going to come to help you. And that's where these skills are more important.
Right.
The same thing with the adaptability. I remember a situation where I was planning a trip to an African country, and I prepared my plan and I gave it to my boss and I said, I'll go for 4 days. He said, you're crazy. I said, why? What happened? He said, you need to go for 14 days, not 4 days. I said, why? And he said, you're going in this country, you need to understand what that country is. So first study about the country and then you go and work in that country. And then I realized that in one day, even one meeting I achieved, it was a great achievement. And and he was also happy. My boss was very happy if I achieve one meeting. Because he said, even achieving one meeting in a day, it's impossible. And that comes to adaptability. I mean, there are several skills which you need as a person, and those you keep on building within yourself. It's not that one day you learned everything. Even the art of writing. I mean, in schools and colleges, we used to have in the languages that comprehension. They will give you a long paragraph and put it in 3 words and 3 lines and 4 words. And as Amitji's teacher said, he said that even if you can reduce 1 word, it makes a lot of difference. So that one word can make a lot of difference, either positively or negatively. But nobody will teach you this. I mean, I did why I said the coaches are important. I did this exercise because, as I said, I used to work with one of my directors, and he used to say, Nandan, you write well, but you write too long, and I don't have patience to write this. And I literally did 4 projects with him. He said, you write whatever you want to write. And I used to write 3, 4, 5 pages a report. And to sit with me and used to say, is this important? Is this important? Is this important? And it took me about 6 projects, and then I started writing in 1 A4 size page. And these kind of things make impact on your life. You know, and work ethics means what? My boss, I had one British boss, and he was a great boss and great coach. And the moment I use any other font other than Times News Roman, he used to look at the paper and he used to throw the paper. And I knew the reason why he has thrown the paper, because I would have got that report from someone else. I would have just read it and not paid attention to any other details, and I would have printed and given it to him.
Right.
But these small things make a lot of difference, because these people develop trust in you to do greater things. Because they want to see that you will execute their orders the way they want to be executed. Even one of my boss, I mean, you develop that rapport with the boss. And I used to work my last job was as a CFO, and I used to work with the owner directly. And he used to sign each and everything. And he used to tell me, I used to tell him, I said, sir, but these people pressurize me to sign this. How do I do this? And he said, because I know you don't want to do it, but technically there's nothing wrong in it. And we used to have a simple thing that if I sign with the red pen, he would never sign that. And if I sign with the green pen, he will immediately sign that. These are the rapport you need to build with your CFOs and CEOs to become a CFO and CEO, and how you behave when you become a CFO and CEO.
Right.
So these are the small little things you will never ever read in any books.
True.
And I mean, of course, I want to come to the last topic, the technical. I mean, there are so many things you can learn from the CFO. These are the functions you have already done it. The budgeting, forecasting, I'm sure you have done it 200 times, even now at this young age. The treasury management, tax planning, investor relationship. But that investor relationship need not be just an investor relationship. It will be how to maintain the relationship with your banker, how to maintain the relationship with your auditor, how to talk to the third party, how to talk in a fairly bad situation and calming down the situation. It's a simple thing you take. I mean, some customer comes into your office and is shouting at top of his voice, how to calm him down. Nobody will teach you this ever. You want to observe, you need to observe yourselves, and you need to implement. And don't think that at the first take you will get all the things right. But if you like tax planning, I mean, nobody need to tell you that you need to do your tax planning or you need to do your budget well. But if you don't do it, there is a big problem. If you do it, Nobody is going to pat on your back. Because you are supposed to do it. So there are several technical skills, but we have very little time. So I want to tell you, and this is a very important thing, which is the most important skill according to you? And I want your answers, performance or trust?
Yeah. Nandan, before those answers come, can I read two questions to you which are there?
Sure.
One by Prashant. He is asking how to handle work-life balance in times of work pressure. Okay. And Rupesh has added to his question earlier, which he asked. He says that what is the opposite word of soft skill? Which, meaning here, that's something which comes through learning.
Difficult question on the second one, because soft skill is the hard skill, you can say, because everything soft, opposite we use hard, but I would say more apt word is the technical skills. Which you learn by, of course, in your books, in training manuals, in guides, and so on and so forth. But the work-life balance is a very important question. And with my experience, let me tell you, as I said, my first word was fun. Don't miss on your life. There is a life beyond your working life. Enjoy that. You are pretty young. Probably some of you have just got married or still to get married. There is a married life ahead. Your parents are there. Your siblings are there. You need to go around the world to see the things. You have your special interests, like some people do the trekking, theater, art, whatever it is. See, the work never ends. My experience is that the work never ends. And the more you do, the more will come in your plate, because the boss knows that whatever amount of work he will give you, you will do that. That is for sure.
True.
But you need to draw a line. I tell you, and Prabdeep ji knows me, and I got I would say quite a big paunch. And I used to have a colleague with me. I'm talking about this way back in 93, 94. And he was a very nice guy, and he was my kind of junior, and I used to make a fun of him at that time. And our lunch time was 1 o'clock, and whatever happens, whichever meeting we are in, the 1 o'clock he would get up and go for his lunch. And he doesn't care whether it's the CEO is in the meeting or whatever it is. And I happened to meet him a couple of years ago, accidentally at Mumbai airport. And he was the same person physically, trust me. Almost 25 years, and he was physically the same person. And I asked him, what's the secret, boss? I have put on so much weight. My mobility is zero, whatever it is. He said, what? And he told me the one thing. He said, do you remember I used to get up at 1 o'clock? I said, yeah. He said, I still get up at 1 o'clock, even though now I am a director of finance. So these habits, they go a long way.
Right.
So learn to get up from your work. Whatever happens, learn to get up from your work. And this comes in the planning. I keep on telling you people. So even I was a CFO, and I also had a very big deadlines and strict deadlines of reporting. But my busy time of the period of the month would be from 25th to the 5th. Those 10 days were extremely busy. I would never come home before 9, 10, 11 sometimes. Because I had to start closing the month and then prepare the reports and submit for the 5th meeting. But then 5th to the 25th, those 20 days, I don't care what happens. I would get up home at 6 o'clock and I would go home and do whatever I want to do.
Right.
And this is exactly what work-life balance you need to manage. You need to find out which are your busy periods. You need to find out which are your deadlines. You need to find out where your presence is important. You need to find out the jobs which only you can do and you need to handle. For the rest of the jobs, you have the colleagues, you have the subordinates, you have the juniors.
Delegation is important. Nandan, we have, around 20 comments, but only one I can see where participants have said performance. All others have said trust. So this is the answer we have.
I'm going to run this small video. If I can run this, I don't know. Yes. This is, can somebody see it?
Not yet.
It is still not. Yeah, it is still not running. But then.
Okay, one second. I will try to run this. As I said, this is one of the stuff which I need to learn how to do this on. One second.
Nandan, I hope this is not a copyrighted video because we are live on YouTube. So
no, I don't think so. It's open, available on the YouTube.
Fine.
Just 1 second. Let me find out how to do it.
मनसुख जी जरा हेल्प करो कैसे चलता है बताओ
दिख रहा है अभी
yeah we can
Yeah.
I think you
can, right?
Yeah.
And I asked them,
You can increase the volume, Nandan?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
and on one side,
Actually, voice is breaking.
Okay, I'll give the gist after that.
make your earnings, right? How are you off the bat? The way they put it is, I trust you. They told me, what do you want? Everybody, they learn. Toxic leader. They would rather have, I trust, times E. This is the highest performing organization on the planet. Cited metrics. We have 1,001 metrics. Measure some, and negligible no metrics. Measure some. End up bonuses, toxicity in our businesses, which is bad for the long game. The irony is, it's unbelievably behind these people. Go to any team, say who's the asshole, and they'll. They will all point to the same person. Equally, if you go to any team than anybody else, who's always got your back, and when the chips are down, they will be there with you. Also, all point to the same person. Best gifted natural leader who's creating an environment for everybody else to succeed may not be your most intimate. But that person you better keep down.
Right. So what it said was nothing but the trust is more important than the performance. So whoever wrote trust, they are on the right path. Whoever wrote performance, please change your attitude. You need to give more importance to the trust. So with that, I come to the conclusion. So any questions? I'm still open for it.
Yeah, Nandan, there are. Yeah. Yes, Ranganathan.
Nandanji, the person who wrote that performance is more important, he has justified it by saying that only by performance you can build trust.
Yeah,
He has a
that's
different
what I
point of
wanted
view.
to share. Yeah.
See, the trust is not only for the performance, that the trust comes from various angles. Performance, yes, I agree with that. I mean, but it's not the only metrics to measure your trust. You can trust him to pick you up somewhere, and if you don't pick him up, that you're betraying his trust. So there's nothing to do with the performance in the office. It's also the performance in life.
Yeah, there are many crooks. In fact, there are many crooks who perform extremely well, but are not trustworthy.
Absolutely. And that's what Simon Sinek, I mean, you can watch Simon Sinek for many things. He's one of my favorite authors and presenters. And he has got many these small videos where he proves that your performance is not the only criteria or not the criteria to judge a person.
Yeah. So, Nandan, there is one question which we can take. Before that, I would like to share a comment by Rupesh. He says that, sir, thank you so much. Today is the first time I understood the real meaning of soft skill. So he is very much obliged for the elaborate answer you gave on that. Now, Tripti is asking a question that how to handle a client who is a startup company not ready to listen her shortcomings at his workplace in the accounts department, but still wants a chartered accountant to do her work. Is it better to leave such clients?
I'll give you answer in 2-3 things. Number one, I'll give the last answer whether you want to leave such clients. In our practice, and we are as a company, we are in existence for almost 14 years now. And at times we just don't take the clients or we leave the client for whatever reasons. And one of the reasons is this, that if the client is just not ready to listen to you, and if he's not following what you want to do, you are better to leave the client. But there are several other questions and other obligations that the client is not listening, but he's paying me well. So why do I care? We know the concept called audit trail. Okay. So whatever you want to say, you create a record for that. We need to have that record that whatever you are advising X, Y, Z, and keep a record not only electronically, but at times you are better off keeping even a physical record, and keep on telling him that you are advised to do so and so, and justify it why you are advising that. But also keep in mind, there are certain clients who hire CAs or professionals just to tell the rest of the world that I hire professionals, and then they keep on doing what they want to do. So you need to figure that out, that this client is from which group. Yeah. And I can tell you few more, like there are few people who just want to listen to the others just for the sake of taking additional view and then want to do what they want to do.
Right.
So it's up to you that you need to figure it out, this client fits in what bracket, or does he have any other motive? There are certain compulsions from our side also, because as I said, if he's paying well, why leave this kind of client? But in that case, you need to take care of your audit trail and your kind of back office, whatever you are doing, the kind of work you are doing, and how you justify that.
Yeah.
But in the worst scenario, yes, just leave the client and you'll better off. I always say it's better off to get a lovely good night's sleep than earning those extra bucks.
True. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nandan, for answering that. And before we say the final words on tomorrow, what we have, I request Mr. Ranganathan ji to please propose a vote of thanks to you.
Thank you so much, Prabdeep ji. And special thanks to Prabdeep ji, because I came into contact with C.A. Nandan today for the first time. Thoroughly enjoyed your session, sir. You made your session extremely interesting when you began by saying that CFO means Chief Fun Officer. Actually, sir, I feel that if you love your job, the job becomes fun. Then you do not feel that you are actually doing a job. Knowing oneself and asking questions to oneself as to what one wants to retire as made your talk very interesting and lively. And your quotes, some of your quotes, that do your job well, numbers will take care of themselves. Or whatever you want to become in life, become a good human being first. They are all worth weighing in gold. Your differentiation of being trained and being coached was again very interesting. And your emphasis on soft skills, that they are one such thing that one learns from one's CFOs. And for that matter, any seniors, I would say, your views on work ethics, teamwork, adaptability, trust, everything was very, very thought-provoking. Thank you so very much for such a wonderful session, sir. grateful to you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for giving me opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nandanji. Before our participants go, let me tell you that tomorrow is a very special day. We enjoyed the soft skills, which are a very important part of our lives. And tomorrow, active listening and humor in workplace are the two topics which will be covered by two chartered accountants. One, Subhashiri, who is based in Bahrain, and Satyamurthy, who is based in Chennai now but recently relocated from Kuwait, who has been a humor champion in many contests in this Middle East region. So thank you to each one of you for being here. Thank you to Amitji, Nandanji once again. Thank you to Chuk Kabra sir for giving this opportunity through CMIB. And see you tomorrow. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night to you all. Bye-bye.